Space Front True Believers. Welcome to issue 98 of the Pitch Nerds, the weekly show where two nerds bring you the latest nerdy news, reviews, and occasionally pitch things. I am Cap, and joining me today is always best friend, fellow nerd, and heir to the empire, Mr. Frosty. Mr. Frosty, how are you doing this fine, lovely morn?
Not bad. Just, chilling, trying to get through things.
Yes.
As one does.
So, I know that it's probably not big with you, but last week was Easter. Hope everybody who celebrates that thing.
I'm a pagan, so I was like, screw that.
It's mine first. So yeah, had a
take that, Jesus. No, just FYI for anybody listening, I have no issues with Jesus. But I am a pagan. I don't talk about it much.
But he will admit to Jesus actually being black, right, Frosty?
I mean, I guess if he existed, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, though.
Can we at least agree that he was black?
I mean, he may not have been a person. Most Jesuses I've met are Hispanic, okay?
Moving right along, so good, Skippy. We have
we're just alienated like anybody listening. They're like, well, I don't agree with that.
Anywho, one thing we can agree on, we had our first look at Ahsoka. We had the Secret Invasion trailer drop. We had the Marvels trailer drop.
We got a lot of trailers that dropped between last week and this week.
We have two delicious episodes of The Mandalorian that I just cannot wait to get dove into. If we have time, we're gonna do.
Yeah, I'm really loving it. It's so weirded out how fans are shitting on all the Mandalorian fans. You know what I mean? Like it's like.
So we'll talk about it. We were originally going to pitch our Pirates of Dark Water pitches today. I think we're going to push that back one more week. I need just a little bit of time to.
I've pretty much got my story, but I don't mind taking an extra week to polish it.
Yeah, I need to. I need to just do mine. We talked about this. It's my birthday soon. I'm going to be the big 4-0, and when I've been working on my project I started working on it 3 years ago, and I promised myself back then that I want to have something presentable by the time I'm 40. So we're now at that 3-year mark where it's weeks away, but I'm just a couple little tweaks away from actually having like an introduction. Grendel13, good morning. Joining us on YouTube.
Thank you for joining us. That you may recognize him on Twitter. He goes by the handle at Captain Graybeard 13. Thank you for joining us. We just before we went live, we were in a discussion about veganism, and then I was just like, I gotta go for the podcast, but I'll be late back. And then he said, like, I'd rather talk about comics and stuff and movies, and I'm like, yeah, me too. Why are we discussing veganism?
Well, thanks for joining us, and thanks for the happy early birthday. I'm going to be the big 4-0. Anyways, I'm really close to being done with a thing that I've been working on for so long, so that sort of had a lot of my brain power occupied, and then life has been just crushing down on that, so I haven't had much time to dive too much into Pirates of Dark Water, but I promise you, I'm going to give it the time it needs, because I've looked into it a little bit, and I want to make sure I represent it well enough.
The one thing I've learned about watching, because I did a pretty deep dive into Pirates of Dark Water, and we were talking about it this morning, is it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, Ios is totally Han, Ren is totally Luke, right. Tula is Leia.
Right.
The Midler, the bird monkey, he's basically an amalgam of like C-3PO and R2-D2.
Yeah.
Probably more C-3PO.
Right.
Because he's kind of the comic relief and everything in the group.
Did you know that he had two different voice actors, that character?
Yeah.
Forget, yeah. So in the TV show, he went on to be voiced by the great Frank Weller?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would have to look it all up.
Megatron. God, the show had Tim Curry, in my notes. Jodie Benson, who is one of the Disney princes. Which one is she? My goodness. Mrs. Cap knows this one. Or Jodie Benson. Which one was she? Was she Ariel or was she Belle?
I don't follow Disney princesses much.
Oh boy, Mrs. Capper right here. She'd be rattling this off. We are never. My homebrew stuff is never done, and I love Pirates of Darkwater. Well, that's cool. You know what? I completely forgot. Like, I watched this show. I didn't hate it. I just
want to read out Grindel 13's comment.
Mm.
We are never done working on those things. It seems my homebrew stuff is never done, and I love Pirates of Darkwater. Was it you, Captain or Grindel 13, that suggested Pirates of Darkwater? I think you suggested it on Twitter, and we've just been working on it for a while now. We do like to give our pitches time,
right? I just creatively, and it's my bad. I'll admit it. I'm so close to being done with this one big thing, and it will just.
It happens.
I have a cigar waiting, bro. Like it is a cigar that I've had in my humidor for years. That's been sitting there, and it's just. It's called the Egg. Actually, you know what? I should talk to. I'll reach out to Mr. Richard, friend of the show, with Smoking from Frogs. He'd be cool to get in on that celebration cigar. But yeah. So Pirates of Darkwater again. It was one of those shows that I watched. And for some,
go ahead. Sorry, I had a tangent.
No. So it was one of those shows that I watched, but for some reason it didn't stick with me to where, brought up years later, I forgot what it was. But then when I was presented with it, it was like, oh, that one. And the first thing I remembered was the dude with like the broken sword they would fight with, and it's like, okay, that one. Yeah. So anything past that is, let's see here. He says, Grendel 13 says, it may have been. I have a downloadable RPG version, and in real life, one of the DVD sets. So, yeah, he was probably the one that suggested it. So, we are working on making it good, because that's what we do at the Pitch Nerds. We take a thing, and I think this is perfect, because it's got deep mythos, and it's one of those things where it was only like 22 episodes or something. It just didn't make the toy sales.
There's a lot now, so I suggest watching the Toy Galaxy YouTube video on this. They made a lot of mistakes with this show, and not so much the show itself. The show itself is solid, but the way they marketed it and the way their toy lines and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
they had all these ideas as to what would make the show successful and assumptions on the matter, and clearly they were wrong. But the show itself was awesome for its time. It's a little dated now. I went back and watched a couple episodes, but yeah, I think it was great. Yeah, it does have a similar tone to Gargoyles, and I think it was like Gargoyles, kind of ahead of its time.
Yeah.
So I was going to have coffee this morning because we like to drink coffee on this show, but I decided to change that out for a super grown-up beverage.
Whiskey.
A Kool-Aid.
Oh.
One of these Kool-Aid things that your mom used
Okay, so do you remember, I know you remember Squeeze-Its, right?
Yeah.
Squeeze-Its were the phenomenal superior drink. And I remember Squeeze-Its had the market on the little squeezy lunchable drinks, and they were delicious. I even liked the purple one. And then Kool-Aid came out with this thing, and I remember trying them, and I never liked them. I thought they were gross. It's like, what is this? This isn't a Squeeze-It.
Tastes like Kool-Aid to me.
Yeah.
It works. I bought them because it's a portable thing I can take with me to dialysis that doesn't have phosphates in it.
How come Squeeze-Its haven't made a comeback? Good gravy. Give me a bag of money, and I'll reinvest and bring back the Squeeze-Its. I can have each color be almost like their own color, like M&M type character. Yes.
I don't know if any of those kids' drinks were phenomenal to me, I guess. I don't know. When I lived in the UK, I remember hanging out with some Americans and someone went Kool-Aid. And we were like, Kool-Aid! Because we hadn't had it in so long,
Right.
And then British kids being like, what's Kool-Aid? And I'm like, and we're like, you don't know. But yeah. I mean, but now I miss British drinks. I mean, you can still buy some of them here, like Ribena and stuff like that. Like, why America doesn't have black currant as like a flavor? I don't know. I read something. It's like something to do with importing it or something. I don't It's one of those things that I have filed away in my brain that the grannies can't
The
quite find.
grannies are just thumbing through.
Yeah, they're like, black currant. Why don't Americans eat black currant? I don't know, but I guess I am American now that I'm a full-fledged citizen, so that's cool.
I imagine the
So
inside
now-
of your head looks like the TPA. Just lots of
I think the
genitals.
granny's thumbing through files, smoking, and it's just full of smoke. They can't quite see because there's so much smoke in there. There's like a shit ton of filing cabinets because I
Right.
file away information all the time, but accessing it is the hard part.
Just thumbing through.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anywho, so we got a lot to get through. Shall we just jump straight into nerdy news?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about how Mario is just kicking the ever-loving shit out of the rat. Yes.
All right, well, I have that as item number 6, but we can jump to that.
Okay.
So Super Mario Brothers movie is already the highest grossing video game adaptation of all time. It surpassed 500 million. I don't know if it's beating Disney though, because I mean that's 500 million worldwide is normal for a Disney.
Yeah.
But for a video game movie,
Right.
it's destroyed all of them.
Right.
I have not seen it. I don't really want to see it.
I don't care enough.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I just
I'll
don't
rent
care.
it. In my head, the Nintendo Cinematic Universe already exists, and mine's better. When I'm done with Quantum, I will happily jump over to the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, and I'll make it in my image. It'll be lovely.
Yeah, I mean, I think the trailer looked cool.
Yeah.
Then the critical reviews came out, and now the critics were like, "Bruh, I hated it," and then the audience scores were like, "It's awesome,"
Yeah.
and it's pretty much what I expected.
Hmm.
I look if it was on HBO or something, I would watch it.
Right.
But I don't care enough
when
to
it's on streaming in a
seek it
couple
out.
months, that'll be a Behold Nerds. There we go.
Okay, I mean, if someone picks it as a Behold Nerds after it goes on sale,
Right.
I noticed that they're like, because they release movies and they're like $20. Like Shazam, you can rent Shazam now, but it's $20.
Right.
I'm gonna wait until it's like $5. Or I heard next month it's gonna be on HBO.
Right.
Though, although a lot of people that watch our show hate Shazam,
Really?
I have heard a lot of people say that critically it didn't do well, but when they've seen it, they're like, "This movie's awesome."
Right.
And someone sent me a clip of him fighting that dragon. Looked fucking cool. So I'm gonna take a few minutes. I'm gonna wait and see what my opinion is until I see it.
Right. And that's fair. That's a reasonable thing to do. Just so my youngin, she saw it with some friends and she loved it. Done. That's it. Did its job.
I just thought I'd read out Grendel13's comment. I enjoyed it. It had a few things I remember from the early days, but I never played the later games as I didn't have my own game console. Which game was he referring to?
I think he might be referring to Pirates of Darkwater, because there was
I remember the game.
There were
the thing
games.
that weirded me about the game is your sword got bigger as you went, and I was like, his sword never got bigger.
Right.
This isn't Thundercats. But I have never played the game.
So apparently there's a tabletop game for it.
That makes sense.
So I mean that's cool. It's just it
No,
never
what's
took
sad
off.
is the He-Man tabletop game got canned. I was really looking forward to that because I think Masters of the Universe would be a ripe universe for a TTRPG.
Oh yeah, like
Well, because think of how diverse the characters are.
It's a tech fantasy. That's cool. Yeah.
Well, and also think how diverse the characters are. So, I mean, you could create your own character. Could be as weird as hell. Could be Fisto,
Yes.
And
My character will be named She It. Yes.
It would work.
She It. Yes. That is my He-Man character. Yes.
I don't know what I would do if I was to make a He-Man character. I would probably just insert one of my D&D characters,
Right. But you have to have a fun name for him.
Yeah, I know. I would come up with something eventually.
Like, what was your bear man?
Oh, I had a bear. His name was Duke Human. And
he was
he was a bear that. someone had casted Awaken on, so now he's sentient,
Right.
but he was still a bear.
Right.
And he would like walk into like places, and then people would be like, "You can't bring your bear in here," and I'd be like, "I'm not a bear, I'm a man." And then I would roll my charisma checks, and because I was a bard with such a crazy charisma, they'd be like, "Well, who would know if he's a bear or not more than the bear?" You know, like,
Yeah.
I guess I'll take his word for it.
Right. You see, that'd be the character, and call him Hugh-Man, and Hugh-Man and She-It can go on fun adventures together. Yes.
They don't all have weird names like the double thing. I mean, that's the
But-
main two characters.
Right, but shush.
Buzz Off was another one of the bee guy.
Right.
Gloucester, you have the lobster man. Moss Man was another one. He was
Right.
basically their
Beast
version of-
Man. Fucking
Yeah.
Man at Arms is still the favorite, my favorite.
I liked. I mean, I know it's not everybody. The Super Mario movie. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Um.
oh god.
Yeah. So I liked. I've played several of the Mario games. They were all. Well, not all, but most of them I've enjoyed.
Mm.
I have a really soft spot for Super Mario 2. I know it's not. They turned another game into a Mario game,
I share.
but
that.
I love that game.
What was your go-to character? Who was it?
Princess.
Of course.
She could fly.
Right. Of course. That's it.
She couldn't fly, but she could glide.
Yeah, she can.
for a
She can
while.
glide. Right. That's the answer. That was woke
Peach.
before woke was cool. Yes.
That was before this stupid word existed and everybody used it for dumb reasons.
Right, but
Um,
if you were to re-release that game right now, people would call it woke because, oh, well, why does a princess get to fly? And the main character, the title hero, is he's not faster. He doesn't jump as high.
Well, he was the all-rounder character.
Yeah.
To that game's credit, each character had its own thing. Toad
Right.
was the
Just
strongest. He
faster.
could
Or,
fly.
yeah.
Princess could glide. Luigi, he
did
was
his
a little dodgy to control, but he could jump the
Just-
highest and furthest.
Right,
Yeah, he could actually outdistance Princess. It was just she could glide.
right.
And then Mario was the all-rounder. He didn't excel at anything, but he wasn't bad at anything.
Right.
Yeah, it was good. I have a soft spot for that game. I also like some of the later games.
Mario 3
Galaxy.
and Mario World and 64 were my favorite. Those three. That's it.
I don't know if I have a favorite. I guess Mario 3 stands out, but just because I was sitting at home one day and I was playing something on my Nintendo,
Mm.
and for no reason, my mom's comes in my room and says, "Here you go." And I was just like, and there was Mario Brothers 3. It wasn't my birthday.
Wow.
It wasn't anything. It was the best day ever.
So I remember when I bought Mario 3 with my own money. I think this is one of the first things that I ever saved my money for was Mario 3, and
That's a big expense for a little kid, too.
right, like that Mario 3. My goodness gracious, that was a big thing when it came out. Like that was
But
the
it was also
game.
tied to that Wizard movie. Do you remember that?
Right. So Nintendo just smashed that out of the park when it came to just hyping up this game.
Oh God, do you remember that movie? Like the Power Glove. It's awesome. I
It's-
had the Power Glove. It
it's-
was not awesome.
It's so bad.
Yeah, I know. You keep your Power Glove off of my girl and all that.
I love how they go from the set of King Kong. They go down a flight of stairs and they're on the set for the game show, which means that the tram ride is above here with King Kong, and somebody decided, let's make an entire new sound studio down beneath that and have a video game show. It was weird. It's not how it's designed. I noticed that.
Yeah.
That bugs me. Shit like that bugs me.
Fictional universe.
California. God.
All right.
Anyways.
Anyway, if anybody's seen the Super Mario Brothers movie, let us know what your thoughts are. Did you like it? Did you hate it?
Is it woke?
Can we just not go there, please? I'm just done. But it sounds like Grendel13 said he enjoyed it. And he had a few things he remembers from his early days. So, yeah. All right, so moving on. Apparently there's a live action. I didn't know about this. There's a live action Minecraft movie starring Jason Momoa being made, and it's got a release date of April 4th, 2025. That's a weird
That's a.
concept.
I mean, I guess he's pretty blocky in stature. I guess.
I have no idea where they're gonna go
I.
with this.
Uh,
The Lego movie
okay.
worked.
Okay. Here it is. You take that movie, the Castaway, right? You take that and turn that into a Minecraft movie. Yes. There you go. Ooh, I can make that work. I kind
Yeah,
of want to make that work.
like I said, the Lego movie worked, so it's possible you could do it. Is it? It's not some. I played a lot of Minecraft,
Yes.
a lot.
Yes.
And is it something I'm gonna go see? It's not something I'm gonna seek out. I will say that.
Right. I mean, I don't know what more lore can you dive into to Minecraft to make it interesting and turn it into a.
Minecraft does have a lore to it.
Well, it does, but how do you? I don't know. Cast Jason Momoa and just.
Have him go kill the dragon.
Yeah, I suppose.
Find a way out. Do the plot. You find yourself awakened in that world. You go through. You make the world work for you.
Right.
And you go survival to thrival, and then you go and defeat the dragon. That's basically the plot. I know they've expanded the game since, but if that game has a plot, that's the plot.
Yeah.
As it exists now. But you're right. You could do something different. You can make it a movie about playing Minecraft.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Also this is a remake. Apparently, it's not really something that we would discuss on this show because it's not nerdy, but Baywatch is getting a televised remake. It's going to be worked. It's in the works at Fremantle. Basically, this is them attempting once again because the 2017 film version. I didn't think the movie was bad. I watched it. I had a couple of chuckles. It wasn't good, but I didn't think it was bad. You know what I mean? I would give it a 5, total middle of the road. You know what I mean? Not good, not bad.
Right. I had desire to see it.
I had no desire to see it too, but I think it was on HBO, and so I watched it.
Yeah.
And some of the characters I liked, like the one that they had replaced Pamela Anderson. I thought she was funny. And so stuff like that. And I liked their whole take on their like being totally serious. And they're like, "You guys are lifeguards. What are you doing?"
Right.
But anyway, so apparently it's gonna be back in TV, and they're working on it. So there we go. Most of my news today is stuff that's being made because I got several of these.
Okay.
Amazon is doing a lot. They're actively discussing. So these aren't gonna happen for sure, but it's likely to happen. So we've got they're discussing doing a new movie and a TV series for RoboCop.
Yes. God, just understand the satire of RoboCop. That's all I.
Here's the thing: I don't think you can surpass the first one. I think it's impossible. It's a lightning in a bottle situation. You'll never live up to that. But if you make something good,
right,
maybe not as good, you're not just accept that that's the gold standard you'll never reach. But make something good that's entertaining, that's set in that universe. Then sure, I'm down.
Well, there's a RoboCop game that's coming out that looks freaking amazing. I actually need to dial.
But I'm talking like a film or show comparing to the original.
I mean, would it work as a series? Fuck yeah. It's just
there was a RoboCop series.
There was, and it was, but you can't take something that's R-rated and dumb it down to like a once a week just syndicated series. I remember watching it.
I watched it.
Yeah, it was all right.
I was in middle school. Like a couple of my friends watched it as well, and we were having fun. We got hyped each episode.
Right.
I think it served its purpose, at least for me at that age.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, you can't beat lightning in a bottle. It's just, yeah.
Hey, I
Some
my soccer pitch with the RoboCop. I get it. Put me in a room. I'll make it work. I'll figure it
Yeah,
out.
but you know what I'm saying. I just
Yeah.
don't think you can surpass the original.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just unsurpassable. Also in discussion at Amazon is a new movie and a TV series. Again, maybe they'll go with one or the other. I don't know.
Right.
But Stargate. The movie is being
So.
considered first. Oh, okay. So here I do have this on my notes.
Mm,
The RoboCop series is being considered first, whereas with Stargate, the movie is being considered first.
okay.
So, did you like Stargate? What are your thoughts on that?
So you know what? I'm not going to lie. This has been rolling around in my head as a Behold Nerds. It's something that I have seen. It's just I don't remember much about it.
Okay.
I watched a couple of the TV shows or a couple of the episodes of the TV show. It was okay. I didn't hate on it. It just I don't know. It just didn't quite grab me, I guess. But I didn't hate it. But
I liked the Stargate movie, but before we go into Stargate, I just want to read the R-rated RoboCop is much better than the toned down ones. The satire and overtop violence and gore gave it its charm.
yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
I mean that sums it up. But I do think it's greater than the sum of its parts. Like I said, I always use the term lightning in a bottle because sometimes you get stuff like I'm a big metalhead. The band God, what's it called? Necrogoblicon, their first album, Lightning in a Bottle. Their other albums, good, but not, it's just sometimes you get these,
yeah.
moments.
Just perfect.
Yeah, and I think that RoboCop is one of those moments. Jurassic Park is another.
Right.
You could make a very good dinosaur movie. Is it going to be as good as Jurassic Park?
No.
Chances are no.
No. Nothing will ever compare to the first Jurassic Park because that was the first time that everybody in the world, Hollywood.
Sorry about that, everybody.
Wow. Are you the spy? You're one of Moff Gideon's spies, aren't you? No. What was I saying? I was saying a thing. Then TIE fighter.
We're talking about Stargate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stargate. I don't know. Just maybe at some point in a month or so we will revisit Stargate.
Well, I didn't watch the series, so I have no comment on the series. I did see a scene from the series though, where I guess it was when they had like a Groundhog Day scenario, and so they stopped giving a shit. So they were like opening the Stargate portal and playing golf into it. And they were like, well, how far did that go? And they were like, like 100 million light years. He's like, that's got to be some kind of record, right? And and
I think I think I vaguely remember that. Vaguely. I don't know.
The movie I remember loving, and then I came home and my aunt, who was a big sci-fi person, told me it was garbage. And so I don't know. I haven't seen it as an adult, but I remember it pretty well, and I remember really enjoying it. So yeah, I'm down. I think it's a fertile universe. So
yeah,
make another movie or TV show or whatever. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
If it's good, I'll probably give it a chance. Especially if it's a movie. TV shows, I'm less. The original Stargate movie with Kurt Russell was great, but the FX haven't held up to today's standards. The story is great. Yeah, I don't remember the special effects because it was so long ago, but I think that's true of a lot of things, And we'll get into special effects when we get to our episode of Behold Nerds, because boy,
stop.
Thank you, but we'll get into it. But thank you, Gary, for suggesting Taxi. I think we may have watched the wrong one.
I have a lot to say.
Yes.
So who would you cast as RoboCop? If you were to pick somebody in Hollywood, who would you pick as for?
Okay, I'm cheating because he did such a good job in Dredd, but Dredd is basically a inspired by RoboCop, so
Right.
I'd put Carl Urban in the helmet again because I know he can act in a helmet.
Right. I actually didn't think of that, but yeah, that's perfect. Just because I have a chocolatey crush on him, Idris Elba as Alec Murphy, I would love to. I think he would nail that. I think he'd be fucking
Yeah.
perfect. Oh, and
Yeah.
he's got that like that booming voice too. Oh my goodness, great! I think that'd be awesome. I would love to see that. But also, Kyle Urban would be equally great.
Yeah, either of those would be good. Well, we'll put that question out there. Who would you guys like to see as RoboCop?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you think a RoboCop movie is a bad idea? Like, I'm down. I mean, more RoboCop is always good, unless it's bad.
So the thing with RoboCop, lightning in a bottle with the first. I actually think the second one was good, but again, it lost some of its satire.
I think the second one was good.
Yeah, the second one was fun. I've been wanting to rewatch.
You think a new actor? I often say the same thing. I always think get a new actor, like an unheard of. That way, you don't have any of that
bias.
Preconceived notions.
Yeah. That's also a good idea. Just make it good.
You got to be able to act in a helmet, though.
There's a level of sin. You can take the satire of RoboCop and plop it into the modern world and just. Because there's plenty to make satire of in this day and age, believe it or not. And I think if you were to find an intelligent way to take what's current, like the geopolitical issues of this era, and flip it into a satire and plot a RoboCop into it, I think it'd be perfect. In fact, it's already my brain's already starting to puzzle box stories together in my head. Because, oh yeah, okay, I'm done. I will go off on a tangent.
By the way, if you are watching, don't be afraid to join us in the comments. I know a lot of you guys like to just watch and chill, but we love hearing from you. It really does make our day.
Right. Because you can take the whole concept of RoboCop was this big corporation trying to take over a city, and OCP, what is it? Is one of the most evil
OCP.
Incorporated and all the evil incorporated.
Say what you want about RoboCop 3, but I love that part where like the guy the giant mohawk is trying to put on the helmet. Like, do you remember that part? And then I remember watching that movie, and I just got so hyped when he flies in
with the jetpack.
Yeah. Yeah.
How traumatized were you in the second one when he got the shit kicked out of him?
To me, the part the little kid me couldn't handle was when they cut open the dude's skull and his brain was there.
Yeah.
And then one of the surgeon goes, "Well, who's ready to break for lunch?"
Right.
And then they show his brain with the eyeballs in the jar. Yeah, childhood me was like,
I did not like that either.
Yeah, well, I imagine you don't. Like,
shut up.
For those that don't know, Cap is a little squeamish on things, especially needles.
Stop it. Anyways,
have I ever shown this?
Oh my god, bro! I will.
And check out the bumps on my arms from my dialysis.
Anyways, hi.
Someone logged off.
You scared them away.
Yeah.
Oh well. I bet they.
Modern era using satire can become difficult as politics have become so entrenched in pop culture. Someone will get upset. Good. Yeah, but
good.
I mean, that would be my. I don't think you should worry about upsetting people when making movies.
Right.
It's going to happen no matter what you do. I mean, One thing I've learned since we started this podcast, because we pitch our ideas and stuff like that, is I often think, what would people think about this? And the chances are it's going to make some group angry. You know what I mean? Like, it's like our Gremlins pitch is a great example. I mean, I
loved our Gremlins pitches.
I loved doing it. It was so much fun. We did it during when Trump was president, and we kind of played with that a little bit. And I mean, yeah, I can totally see it upsetting people, but at the same time, we were having fun.
Right.
You know what I mean? We were making fun of both right wing and left wing.
Make fun of everybody.
Having fun.
Right.
Yeah, and it was honestly one of my favorite pitches. For me, my favorite part of my pitch was when I had the Trump gremlin come out,
Right.
and then he did a rally for all the gremlins,
Right.
and then they bring out Gizmo, and then all the gremlins run rap rim rap rap rim rap. That to me was great. I had so much fun, you know what I
Right.
mean? But like, if I was to write the same thing now, I would be mocking Joe Biden and everything like
Right.
that, you know?
Just I can see him like falling asleep on the sofa and them with the Sharpie like scribbling like things on his face.
Yeah, writing on his face.
Like
Yeah.
that, yeah, that's what they would do. Or they do the warm hand and they put his hand in the warm water to make him pee, but they look and he's wearing diapers. Or so
Yeah.
he's already pissed himself because he's 8 million years old. Like, yes, you can make fun of both sides.
Yeah, I do agree with you, Gretel 13, but I think that we also have to factor in that people are, I mean, a lot of the time, those controversies are exactly what they're looking for.
Right.
Like we
Like
talked about
Velma.
before on the show, Velma. Yeah, example.
Velma.
Velma is doing extremely well of money and viewership, but the show supposedly is awful, but they don't give a shit.
Right.
I mean, I haven't seen it, so I can't say whether it's good or bad. You didn't like it, Cap. You watched the first episode.
Again, I'm indifferent to it. It's so benign. It's trying so hard to do what Harley Quinn does better. And that's it.
Oh, I apologize for this giant light. There's not a lot I can do about it at this time of day.
He's actually died, and that's heaven coming to take him away. It's so angelic. Angelic Frosty. Yes. But anyways.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that those things factor in, but at the same time, I think a lot of times with projects, people count on that. And I mean, like another one that did well, regardless of what people's takeaways are from it. Don't Look Up was a very successful movie on Netflix, which obviously had a very strong message and was a satire or parody or metaphor.
So yeah, that would be that level of satire, but with RoboCop.
Yeah,
like that's it. Just capture that level of satire. So one of the greatest things about RoboCop is it terrified me as a kid, but I still loved it. And the one commercial with the 6,000 SUX. And
yeah.
I didn't get that joke.
I didn't get it either.
Until I watched it, I was like,
I didn't get a lot of the stuff because I saw it as a kid as well.
Right.
It just went over my head. To me, it was cool Robot Band.
Right.
But that's what makes the movie good.
Right.
I think the controversy on the new Moana actress is doing just that. It's just for clicks and free advertisement. Possibly. It's not really a movie I care about either way, so I've not really looked into it, but you're probably right.
Hold on. I'm just going to adjust the chat box just ever so slightly. Hold on.
Oh, it's working.
No, it's working, but it's just a little off center.
Oh,
right here.
it's a little on.
It's
it needs to move over slightly.
All right. There we go. Okay.
So, okay, what else we got? Okay, again, not really a movie we discussed, but since we were talking about Amazon, movies and TV series, the other one that they're thinking about, it's actually a guilty pleasure of mine. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I'll say I like this, but Legally Blonde, they're considering doing either a movie or a TV series over on Amazon.
Okay.
I watched a lawyer break down Legally Blonde, and I just had so much fun. I've seen the movie, and I love listening to an actual lawyer discuss it.
So, what did the actual lawyer have to say? How
well, he was pointing out like a lot of stuff, like this, like her boyfriend in the beginning, who was like, "Oh wait, you can get into Harvard," and then he was like, "Actually, yeah, if she's got the grades and she does the LSAT and she does this." They actually look for people that are diverse and stuff. He pointed out a lot of the legal problems in it and stuff that didn't make sense as well.
Right.
But it was fun, and I think the movie itself is fun, and so I mean, why not? It's a good movie. Look, if I'm gonna sit down, I'm single at the moment, but if I have a girlfriend and we sit down and watch that movie together, I can enjoy it and
Is
laugh
it? I
alongside.
think it might even be a musical. I think there might be a Legally Blonde musical. I think
Oh, really?
maybe.
They made sequels apparently. I never saw any of them, but I've heard they're bad.
Mm,
But that first one was a solid little movie. Not a genre I would normally watch, but I found it watchable enough.
okay.
If Amazon makes one, I'm not gonna lie, I probably won't watch it. But I mean, fine.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to the idea.
Okay.
Um,
Just make it good.
so Deadpool 3 news.
Yes.
Both Vanessa and Colossus with their actors and actresses, Stefan
Mm,
Kapanik and Moreno Baccarin, I apologize for butchering names, are both reprising their roles.
nice.
So this I'm excited for Deadpool 3. I think that's gonna be a lot of fun.
I yeah. To see we finally get to see Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, and Ryan Reynolds actual Deadpool together. Actual Deadpool, not the stitched up mouth garbage that we got. I want just have at it. Just wind them up like little toys and just let them just scamper off on the set and just film them. Just film the two of them just interacting with each other. I can't wait for this movie. I hope it's good. This is the first R-rated movie.
I haven't disliked either Deadpool movie, so I had a
So
blast with
did
both of them.
did you ever watch the PG-13 Deadpool 2 with
No,
So it was fun. It brought back
I like the idea though.
Yeah,
Release a
it's perfect.
PG-13 so the younger audiences can see it.
With Fred Savage. That's perfect. It was funny. It was still edgy enough for PG-13. They pushed it, but it's funny because you got to see Fred Savage just tied to a bed.
But I mean, I think the idea of releasing a version that younger people can see,
Right.
like because if you're 13, or and you have one of those parents that's like, you can't go see an R-rated movie. Like my parents didn't want me to see Blade. I saw it anyway,
Right.
but they had issues with that movie. But and Blade, the first Blade, was literally the coolest thing my mind had seen at that age. I was just blown away by it.
Right.
It was so cool. It inspired me to write my own original character.
That's awesome.
Which we've talked about.
Vincent Steele.
Storm.
Right. Or Storm. Vincent
Storm.
Storm.
Yeah. And so it was a combination of that and I was reading the Anita Blake books, which the Anita Blake books are, I struggle to say good.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them were good. I loved them at the time. After book 10, don't bother reading though. I think it went from being something that anyone can enjoy to being something that like horny moms read, because like you're reading a blowjob scene that lasts 10 pages and you're just like,
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is too much, Well, because it suffers from the same thing that I think like some of the other things in that genre suffer from, like Twilight and things like that.
Right.
Where
They
she
run
was
out of
so
words.
tired. All the vampires and werewolves had a crush on her.
Right.
Whereas like before that, like Obsidian Butterfly, it was cool. She was a necromancer. One of the main characters was Edward, who was so cool. Edward was a guy he was known by the undead community as Death.
Nice.
And he had no special powers. He fought using machine guns, grenades, all that kind of shit.
So he was John Wick.
Yeah, but like they were all scared of him.
Right.
These ancient beings. Like one vampire was created back when he was he was a Neanderthal. And yet he was scared of this guy.
Wow.
And he was my favorite character by far. He was awesome.
That's awesome.
And I like the premise too. The she was an animator, that was her job. So let's say you had like a legal problem and like someone had died, she would go and then raise the corpse, and then they like you could sign legal documents and stuff like that. And like it was kind of horrifying though, because like the zombie didn't know that it was dead yet, so he's like, "Come on, kids, let's get in the car and go." And like his
Wow.
family was there, and they're standing back, horrified and stuff like that. And then she had to explain to the zombie, like, "No, you're dead and everything. You're just a corpse."
Oof.
And yeah, it like dark and sad. And apparently, like one time, like she's learned how to get better at it, so they understand that now.
Mhm.
But like the first time she tried it, like they had to like nail the zombie back into its coffin while it was screaming and stuff like that.
Oh God.
Yeah, I what I mean, but it's a cool book, you know what I mean? Like to go from that to just blowjobs is just like, come on, man. But I mean, fair dues. The writer obviously realized what she enjoyed writing,
Mm.
and her books were still successful,
Mm.
so she found her audience. It just that's when I left the series, you know.
Okay. Moving on. Um,
Deadpool 3, I wish they made Domino look comic book accurate. No problem with the actress, but I wanted that look. Yeah, I think she looked decent in Deadpool 2.
so
Um,
did they make it? So I had a friend in high school that had that pigmentation thing where you kind of get the splotches. I think that was
well,
something.
she's a mutant, so they can look however they want.
Right, but I think I could be wrong, but I remember reading a thing where that that was the way they chose to depict that character was to have it be because of that natural thing. I don't
Right,
care.
but look at Gambit. He's got red eyes, red and black eyes. That's
Yeah,
not a human thing, but they're
yeah,
mutants, so you
right.
can do whatever you want. As soon as you say mutant,
Yeah,
all bets are off. You know?
yeah. Frogman,
Yeah, exactly.
guy that shoots cockroaches out of his belly button.
But I mean, in terms of
Yeah,
physical,
I know, I know.
but yeah, I'm excited for the movie. Can't wait. Colossus was probably my favorite
I
character,
love
so I'm
Colossus
glad
in
he's
that movie.
back. Um,
It's just the good conscience.
yeah, I loved watching Deadpool fight Colossus. I think it was the first one. And he's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, people are afraid of the T Rex."
I've been wanting to rewatch Deadpool lately. It's God, funny movie.
Yeah, it's really funny. You know what ruined Deadpool though for me as and the guy next to me.
Hmm.
I was sat at the luxury theater, actually, the one that by your place.
Right.
And the guy that was in the chair next to me, he just kept talking through the movie.
Ah,
And he's like, "Say my name." And then he would repeat it. And then when the music kicked in, he was doing this lame dance in his chair. And it was just so distracting. I was just like, "Could you stop, you know?"
that sucks.
I didn't say anything because, again, I try and be. I've tried to become more zen in my old age,
Hmm.
and I'm like, he's enjoying the film, fine. I just wish I didn't get stuck next to him.
Right. You could have just reached over
Um,
and slapped the shit out of him. Say,
no,
stop it! Stop it!
I don't agree with that attitude, especially if that's your first go-to. Maybe just be like, "Hey, man, you're a little distracting," you know.
Right. I mean,
Um,
sometimes you just gotta shake that machine if you really want that bag of chips. Sometimes you just gotta.
I just did my best to ignore him.
I know.
So this is more of a rant, but I included it in the news. Apparently Marvel is now considering most non-Marvel Studios films as canonical to Marvel
Mm-hmm.
with a whole kind of other universe thing, like we saw with Venom.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just me being hyper, like, wait a second here.
Yes.
But Spider-Man 2099 in the trailer says "Little Nerd on Earth 1999."
1999, 99, 99.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But they said it's 616. like, which is it? Damn it!
Shh. You weren't supposed to see that.
I can't help it.
But
My
but
brain just
but
locked in on it.
but I noticed that too. Great trailer, by the way. Oh my goodness gracious! Awesome.
I think I personally think it makes more sense to have the MCU as 1999 because
Right.
or 19,999.
1999, 99. Yeah.
Yeah, because it makes more sense. It like because then you can have 616 be the comic book universe and both exist as the
Independently.
multiverse.
Right.
And yeah, retcon away their whole thing with, oh, Infinity Stones can work outside of their universe, which they never should have done,
Yeah. Oh
in
God,
my opinion.
that annoys me. Why did
Yeah,
they
it
do
really
that?
annoyed me. As soon as I
Why did
saw
they
that,
do that?
I have no idea.
That hurts my head.
It hurt my brain too. Yeah.
Like it was animated
And
beautifully.
then it brought it up on Twitter and it had a lot of people going, rabble, rabble, rabble. It's different for the MCU. And I'm like, but it shouldn't be.
Right. I mean,
I don't know.
I like that they only operated within their universe because then what's to stop somebody from destroying the entire multiverse after they've acquired the stones except for their own? If they can work
Yeah, plus
multiversally, it just
it
stop it.
made sense because like they were that powerful. I don't know if you know this in comics, they're introducing a new like god that is beyond beyonders.
Why?
Power creep.
Why? But they,
It's
but
power
they have
creep. That's what
beyonders.
happened.
Beyonders are like the glass ceiling. Are the
Well, I
beyonders?
was thinking it was a cup. If all of Marvel fits in a cup,
Right.
the
They're
beyonders
outside the
exist
cup.
outside of
Right.
the cup.
Like I don't want to know who poured the cup. Like
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, even the Beyonders are just a reboot of the Beyonder.
right. Who is apparently
Um,
just a younger version of a Beyonder, but he looked pretty.
well, so that was supposed to be a cosmic cube to gain sentience, and then it wasn't, and then the Beyonder was supposedly beyond the Tribunal, but then he wasn't,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's just comics.
Yeah.
I think everybody has their own idea and of what is right and what isn't,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe younger people are like, well, this is the way it should be, and it's like, okay, but that's not how it was for me, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I just try and look at each story individually. Did I enjoy it or didn't I?
Right. That's fair.
Um, but yeah, that's all I got for nerdy news. You got anything to add?
No, we should probably jump into something. What did you want to jump into? We've got some Mandalorian to talk
Well, we got
about.
a lot of reviews. We've got our battle nerds. Let's start jump into reviews. Let's do the trailers. Let's do a quick
Yeah,
rundown
just
of
quick
trailers.
rundown of the trailers. So we had a few trailers
So,
drop.
Marvels, that dropped.
Mhm.
It's been hate bombed into eternity on YouTube.
Okay, so
I saw the trailer, and
so
I don't give a shit what anybody says. I thought it looked like a blast.
I just watched this trailer. I did not like the first Captain Marvel movie. I didn't hate it. It just it didn't connect with me. I didn't hate Miss Marvel. It just didn't resonate with me. This trailer looks fucking awesome. Holy shit! It looks fun.
Looks like a lot of fun, right?
It looks
That's what
fun.
I
So
thought.
I like the idea of they can't every time one uses a power they kind of flip. I think they can do a lot of clever shit with that. That sounds interesting. How do you take
I
it?
also say what you want, but I keep saying that in this episode. But Kamala Khan, I think she's perfect,
Mm-hmm.
and I loved her screaming and then realizing, oh, you're Nick Fury. Is this an Avengers? I love her nerdiness.
Right.
I love it.
Right.
I love how hype she gets over these
Well,
characters.
it's like Peter Parker. It's the same thing. It's the same type
Well,
of like
yeah, but
giddy nerd character.
she's me. If I was suddenly thrown into that universe, I'd be like, oh my god, you're Nick Fury. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think also in the Hawkeye show, I forget the character's name, but the new Hawkeye,
Mm-hmm.
I think she captured it perfectly
Right.
when she was on the elevator with that old guy. She's, I'm totally talking to an Avenger right now, and I like that aspect of her character because it resonates with me.
Right.
I would be also nerding out pretty hardcore if I met Nick Fury in real life.
Right. Well, that's one thing that Marvel is doing correctly is that they're not shitting on the legacy characters, if you will. Like there's a reverence to them. Like there's a reverence.
Yeah.
You can see now that the Infinity Saga is over with, you can see how their influences have set the course for new heroes. That's cool. Yes. Okay. Yes. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, like, all I can say is the trailer did its job. I got excited about it. It looks like a sci-fi romp. I am interested to see where they go with this.
I think it's a clever way to sort of nerf Carol's powers because it seems like every time one uses a power, they sort of flip with each other. So
I thought that, but then I think they might get under control later because like there's a bit in the trailer where they're all practicing with
yeah,
each
yeah,
other. Um, so yeah, I think there's a lot you could do. As for my opinions on Miss Marvel, I watched it the first time. I didn't like it. I watched it later, and I was like, oh, I kind of see it.
hmm,
Because I kind of enjoyed some of the references and stuff in it, and I also like the buddy cop aspect of it.
yeah,
The main point I always have about Ms. Marvel, or I mean not Ms. Marvel, but Captain
Captain
Marvel,
Marvel,
the movie,
right?
is there's a lot of people who didn't like it for whatever reasons. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm at work and my assistant loves it.
Hmm,
I've talked to Beetle Burr, fan of the show,
hmm,
and it's her favorite Marvel movie. You know what I mean?
hmm,
My ex girlfriend's daughter, she thought it was great.
hmm.
So it did its job. It's
Right,
found its audience.
right.
Even if I am totally against it,
It
that
did its
movie
job.
is beloved by people.
Right,
So I mean that's fine. I don't have to like every movie, but if people do, then fine, you know.
right.
And that's basically where I come at it, you know.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. It's just, all right, this is fine.
Yeah,
Maybe
I just
maybe if I were to rewatch it, I'll like it more because there have been movies where after my first viewing, I was just sort of indifferent to them, but then after another rewatch, I actually liked it more. Good example of this is Man of Steel. I did not
we
like it.
flipped on that. I didn't. I loved Man of Steel when I first watched it.
Right,
You didn't,
right,
and then I started to like it less, and you started to like it more.
right, and then we both sort of did this, like we found our buoyancy, like our degree
Yeah,
of
we found
buoyancy
the
in our
middle
opinion,
ground. Yeah.
right? So yeah, it's I'm willing to treat it as that. Where if am I willing to go back and rewatch it again and maybe like it more? Probably. In the near future, probably not. But next rainy day, if I'm bored, who knows? I rewatched Endgame the other week, and that was, oh my god, still good, still freaking good.
I rewatched of the Marvel movies, Civil War, and
Mhm.
I had a blast watching that.
Right.
I did rewatch Man of Steel recently.
Mhm.
It was good. I didn't.
Right.
My plan was to watch all the Snyder films.
Hmm.
They're a little dense. It's kind of like rewatching Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's
So I'm gonna. I need the lighter films in between
it's
to
definitely
break it up.
a dense brisket of movie.
But I understand those hardcore Snyder fans. I think this is their Star Wars,
Right.
and I respect that. And I understand where they're coming from. If people shit on Star Wars, I tend to get defensive. But
Right.
I don't agree with this like hatred towards James Gunn though. But
Even though the things
um,
Adrian says in the group chat are freaking hilarious.
but there's you can be funny, but I mean I don't agree with like I think there's like a hypocrisy to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's still
Like getting upset because his wife is in the movies. Well, Snyder's wife is a producer on all his movies.
right.
What's the difference? Because one's an actress and one's a producer, you're still giving your spouse a role in your
Yeah, yeah.
stuff.
People
Snyder's
people
son
do this shit
Eli
all the
was
time.
in
It's
300. He was that little kid that was getting the crap kicked out of him.
mm-hmm.
You know, like it's people. Judd Apatow, whatever you think of his movies, he puts his wife and kids in all of them.
I'm building a
Hitchcock,
universe that is going to have all of you in it.
Hitchcock put his children in his movies.
Right.
Freaking Hitchcock, he's a legend, you
Right.
know. But anyway,
Yeah.
where were we?
Lucas had his kids as some of the Jawas. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of those were kids. They didn't start using the little folk until the Ewoks.
Yeah.
True.
Well, anyway, I mean,
Anyway.
my main takeaway from Marvel is it looks like a sci-fi film.
Looks fun.
With it looks fun. I've heard there's going to be aspects of it that are a musical. Why not? I love musicals, so
Yeah, we
I'm
see
down.
a little bit of that Dollywood,
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, Bollywood type thing, which is cool. I like the Bollywood scene in Eternals. Like,
I didn't like Eternals as a movie though.
it was all right. So Eternals is one of
Eternals,
those
I
movies
think,
that
suffered from the same problem that a lot of movies suffer from.
Hmm.
It was too much to put into one little movie.
Yeah.
You know, you have like you introduce all these characters, they've all got their own things. It was just too much, you know, like, and that's why it didn't really work. I heard someone say it was the first time Marvel made a DC film. I think there's some truth to that.
You know what? That's a. I would agree to that. Yes.
Yeah. And I kind of think Shazam, I haven't seen the sequel.
Shazam
But
is trying to be a Marvel movie.
it's kind of a Marvel movie, yeah, yeah.
Womp
Anyway.
womp. Anyways.
Secret Invasion. So we had that trailer drop. It looks very cool. I'm totally gonna watch it. It looks nothing like the comic other than the rough. There's
Scrolls.
you know. Yeah. But I mean, the comic was like this. The comic was closer to Civil War in a way. You know what I mean? Where like all the heroes lining up, and this looks more like a spy kind of thriller kind of thing. But I'm sold. I mean, give me look. I love Nick Fury. I love Sam Jackson. And I'm totally down. And the last time they did that style of movie was Winter Soldier, and I fucking loved it. So yeah, I'm 100% down for this.
So who do you think is going to be of the MCU characters so far? Do you think any of the heroes are going to end up being Skrulls? I think I think
That's a good point. I didn't really give it much thought, but yeah.
I think Maria Hill is a Skrull. I don't know why.
Okay.
I just if I were to pick somebody, they'd be like, huh, she
She wasn't in the comic. She was one of the ones that was like working with Fury.
Right. But I would, I don't know. I would see her making a good Skrull. Just somebody that's been there the whole time.
Yeah.
Or just one of those characters that's just sort of been there in the background the whole time, like Kumar's character. He's been there. Have him be a Skrull.
Yeah, I think it would be cool if he did it with a main character. That would piss people off, but
right. But
imagine if they were like,
that's Skrulls.
Yeah, I know, but imagine if they were like, I don't know,
Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, Tony Stark.
Yeah, Spider-Man. You know, it turns out he was a Skrull the whole time. We've never actually met Spider-Man. You know,
right?
That would piss people off. I would be like, holy, I would clap.
Just the one guy clapping in the auditorium that's just full of
like boo. Let's
saying,
get him, fellas.
Boo earns. And you're the one.
Well, are you excited though?
No, it looks great. Yeah, it sort of has kind of X-Files vibes to it a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. I really enjoyed Winter Soldier. It was fantastic.
Well, and the parts of Winter Soldier that were just Sam Jackson, like when he was. I know you're gonna talk about where he Bugs Bunny's his way out, but besides that,
right?
With him in the Jeep and faking his death and stuff like that, I thought it was great.
It was 98% a great movie.
Yes. I'll forgive him for the Bugs Bunny thing. I won't forgive them for him not following him, because that's where it doesn't make sense. I'm totally accepting you can Bugs Bunny your way out of a situation. And the second time they do it, again, fine with it because they had driven away.
Right.
But the first one, Winter Soldier standing over the hole, and it's like, well, he went down the hole. That's all I can do. But again, I don't like to get
down
mad
the hole. It's Sam Jackson just scraping the hole with the shoe, trying to dig faster.
Well, he had the laser thing.
Right, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it ran out of juice or something, and he has to frantically tunnel his way out. He just has his shoe.
I try not to be too critical of those things though, because like they exist in all movies. I mean, what I was doing with this Jurassic Park is basically a perfect movie, but even it had a giant drop that made no sense.
Right.
If you watch some of our older episodes, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I've even tried to fix it canonically.
So. Yeah, I remember we discussed that. Didn't we discuss like a safety contingency where like
where it drops? Yeah, and that's why like and that's where the goat was stored. But so the top platform just changes elevation with it.
I'm okay with that.
Anyway, yeah, but it's still a mistake. I mean, the freaking T-Rex. He's so loud that he shakes the water.
Right.
And then at the end, he shows up. And it's just like he's a ninja. None of them saw them. Like
They couldn't hear the T-Rex over that sweet John Williams score, damn it. Final answer.
all right. Blue Beetle. So we had that drop.
Hmm.
What did you think of that trailer?
It looks fun. Like, good gravy.
It looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, I agree.
I wish they went with the, not with Jaime. I wish they went with, oh my goodness,
Ted
Garrett.
Cord?
Yeah, Ted Cord. I wish they went with Ted Cord, but I understand why they didn't. But,
You do
then
see Ted Cord shipping it.
yeah, right. So, allude to him, but I'm okay with it being Jaime.
I'm okay with it being Jaime. I understand why they didn't as
right.
well.
I get it.
I think some of our younger followers were really excited about it.
Yeah.
And so I totally get it. And you know, there's the thing where he makes the anime style sword and stuff. And so I can see these people being really hyped about it. I do feel it's going to be a little young for me, but it still looks fun enough that I'm interested in seeing it.
If it's
But I agree, an older Ted Cord and like possibly throw in Booster
Booster
Gold.
Right.
That's me. Yeah, 100%
Yeah.
that's me.
So if they come at this, and it looks like they are, with the same fun and tone as like Shazam or even like Aquaman a little bit, yeah, it looks good. I just hope we get to see a Booster Gold, because James Gunn did promise us a Booster Gold.
Yeah, but I mean that's going to be I don't think that'll be tied to that movie.
Probably
but,
not. Well, I mean they could, because he uses time travel and shit. Who knows? He could be like the reverse Kang of everything.
Well, that's what he sort of is, but
right.
yeah, but I don't know if it's necessarily going to be tied to that movie. We are getting Booster Gold, which is going to be cool. But one thing Fellow Nerds Super Killers, he didn't like the voice. What did you think of it? The kind of
yeah,
I can be made to use. Well, because he was saying he doesn't like the fact that a lot of superheroes to stay have Iron Man now he's got the voice in his ear.
Right, but
Spider-Man does it. Venom was another one having the symbiote talk.
But he talks to the Scarab. It's the Jaime that I've familiar with. If there's
true, the Scarab doesn't necessarily talk though in the comics.
No, but it still communicates. So
it communicates with him.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess my point, he thought it takes away their agency. They're never alone anyway, these characters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's always someone talking to them anyway. We just can't hear it.
Right.
I mean, I think it works. And the suit, theoretically, if we can do all that shit, it should be able to make a human voice.
Right.
I mean, that's the least of it, what it should be able to do, you know?
I mean, remember, most of the time when Batman's on patrol, he has Alfred in his ear. So, I don't think it...
Depending on the writer, yeah.
Right. So... Even Lois has Jimmy Olsen, yo. Like, it's okay. Like, it's okay to have the titular sidekick.
But I think anytime you have a symbiotic relationship...
Yeah.
I mean, these people have something talking to them anyway, like Venom.
Right.
You know, like to me, when I watched the Venom movie and he started talking, I was like, whoa, that's weird.
Right.
I'm watching it with my girlfriend at the time. She is dying with laughter. So again, I kind of looking through it through her lens. I'm like,
right.
Yeah, okay. For me, it was weird, but I mean, it does make sense. I mean, I do think they could talk in ways that aren't voice because they're alien, but at the same time, it works. Yeah. I don't have an issue. I guess is my point.
Yeah, just it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that's where I come down to it.
It's fine.
So we had Ahsoka. What did you think of that?
So I liked it, but here's what I'm wondering: if at any point in Star Wars, if they're going to ever circle back and use like CGI Mark Hamill to do more like Luke Skywalker things, I feel like they're trying to be so far removed from the legacy characters that they're giving heir to the Empire to Ahsoka. It's like, okay, that's cool. It looks badass. It's just one of those things where I want to see more Luke Skywalker too, I guess, even though Ahsoka's cool.
I don't. I mean, I feel like his story's been told. I'm done with Luke. I move on to other characters.
But see, in my tales of Luke Skywalker, it was after the movies where he became the true badass, and we got to see a glimpse of that in the Mandalorian season 2 finale. Like, I want to see him be more of a badass. That's it. I want more Lukes. That's all. I hope he. I hope they use him in Ahsoka. That said, the trailer looks great. We're getting a Grand Admiral Thrawn, who is a really cool character. Apparently, they're getting the voice actor to be the actor, which is cool. I see them doing that now. So they're doing the same thing that they did with Bo-Katan, where the original voice actress reprised her role in the live action version. So,
I just don't know if again, I just think that Luke's tale has been told, and that's why I'm fine with them telling other tales and with other characters and moving on. He I mean, he's a badass. He ended the Empire essentially. I mean, he destroyed the Death Star. He's got all these amazing moments. I'm totally fine with us seeing other moments. I don't need to revisit Obi-Wan, Luke, or any of these people.
yeah,
I mean, I like Mando more than I like Boba Fett now. You know what I mean? So yeah, I guess I'm always fine. The universe is interesting enough that I'm totally fine exploring and following other characters, but that's just my opinion. I can understand the want of more of what we got. I just think then the problem is you'll always be comparing it to what once was.
right.
Whereas
Grendel says Ahsoka's my favorite Star Wars character. She is a cool character. I was never a Luke fan in the original trilogy. I like Solo in the prequels. I like Kenobi, but overall, I like Ahsoka. Yeah, I think Ahsoka's cool too. I never watched Clone Wars as religiously as most people, but I think Rosario Dawson did a great job with the character. The trailer is cool. It's just
I don't know who my favorite. I'm trying to think who my favorite Star Wars character is now. At one time, I would have said Boba Fett.
hmm.
Maybe I guess now it's probably Din Djarin. I really enjoy The Mandalorian. I think it's a good show.
So overall, like of the titular characters, the side characters are a separate thing, but of the core group, Solo's my favorite. Followed so in order, Solo, Leia, Luke, but it's a very thin margin between them. Very very thin margin between them.
If we're talking original characters, like the core group, I would say does he? I mean, he's a core character. I would say R2.
R2's great. R2's my
Yeah,
favorite too, right? There's so many likable characters in Star Wars, and it's cool that even to somebody who doesn't know Star Wars, you can hand them a book of Star Wars characters and just have them flip through it and be like, "Oh, that guy looks cool," or there's
Her development over the Clone Wars series is the reason we saw her fail and succeed while she learned and grew.
right,
Yeah, I mean, I
right.
probably should watch it at some point. It's something I haven't done.
Yeah, it's yeah, she has an arc. She isn't a shoehorned character, and same thing with Bo-Katan is that she's an established character. They've taken
I'm
the
enjoying
time to,
Bo-Katan.
yeah, she's cool. I have no problem with them. We'll talk about that with the Mandalorian reviews, but yeah, I thought the trailer looked cool. We are getting Grand Admiral Thrawn. They've alluded to him in the newest episode of Mandalorian. We'll talk about that in a bit. But I don't know. What do you think? I've been rambling.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it. It looks good. I don't have strong feelings on this one based on the trailer. It looks good, and I'll watch it. I mean, it didn't make me like go like, oh, I can't wait. You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, I don't think it needs to.
Right.
And I'm gonna go. I'm gonna watch it when it comes out, no question. So yeah, I'm down. I always thought R2 is kind of the entire story narrator for of the long ago story. Yeah, I someone pointed out once if you put all the movies together, as soon as R2 and C3PO exit one scene, they come into another scene. I feel the audience. They're there to witness everything.
Right.
In a lot of ways. I know Luke is technically the audience character because he's the one that they questions everything.
Right.
But yeah, and he's the one everything is explained to.
Right. I love R2. R2's great. He's just One of my favorite moments, because I read the books and the Tales from Jabba's Palace. They went through a bunch of the different characters, background characters from Jabba's Palace. And they had like just little short stories. And the one with EV-99, that was the torture droid. Ah, good new acquisitions. Um, it was technically,
Ow.
quote unquote a her is how they.
Ow.
Nope, is a cat.
Ow.
Cat. Evil cat.
He's dying on me.
Why? Tell him to stop, bro. Why do you just let him do it?
um.
It's terrible.
Well, that's not as bad as some of them. Oh, no, my feet. Like that. I felt the claw go in my toe, and I was like, no.
So.
Oh, he's asking for food. You keep talking. I'm gonna give him a little.
Right. So, in this short story centered around EV-99, it tells the scene of where R2 comes in with a 3PO into the torture chamber, and it's the good new acquisitions, and she turns to R2, and R2 has that long series of beeps, and in the movie it's like, you're a feisty little one, but you'll soon learn some respect. In the novelization, you get to it's alluded to what R2 actually said, and it's funny because R2 originally 3PO was supposed to be have like a real foul mouth and just be like the dirty, almost like a car salesman type character. They just plop that into R2, and you just never understand what he's saying, but people react to R2 and kind of alludes to what he's saying.
Sort of, there's a thing about R2. If you ask someone what language he's speaking, they always say their native language.
Huh.
So if people are listening to R2 in Spain, they're like, oh, he's speaking Spanish, and oh, he's speaking German, oh, he's speaking English,
right?
And it's because we as humans anthropomorphize everything,
right?
And so, speaking of which, there are these British mice in this English show, and all they do is whistle.
Really?
But apparently, they're all saying horrible, messed up like things and swearing like sailors and stuff.
Oh,
and you can kind of understand it if you watch the show.
Okay.
As an adult. As a kid, it goes over your head. They're just mice whistling.
Right.
But it's the same thing. If you people always assume that the mice are speaking in their language.
Right. So R2 in this string of beeps to EV-99 was just layered with insults. It was just a string of just, oh my god, like, what did you just say to me? But the way R2 articulated it to EV-99 was just so just on the nose that it gave her pause. And that's why her response is, oh, you're a feisty little one. Because R2 just told her in 18,000 different binary codes that she can go fuck herself. Like, no. No, you have no agency over me. I'm R2 fucking D2. I got a lightsaber in my head, yo. Like, I can murder you now. The only reason why I'm not is because Master Luke has assigned me to this thing. I'm loyal to Master Luke. I can give a shit about my buddy 3PO. He's an idiot. like R2 is definitely the butthead, and 3PO would definitely be like the Beavis.
3PO's Beavis. Yeah. Okay. Well, we got one more trailer. Penguin that dropped.
So I didn't know that this was a thing. Like
you didn't know they were making Penguin? They announced it a while ago.
So when they announced it, I just
debated whether or not Robert Pattinson's going to be in it as the Batman.
I'm okay if he's not. I'm really okay if he's not, and I'm okay. Dude, it's Will Ferrell. Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell.
He's solid. I think the trailer looks good. He's solid. I'm always a little skeptical of a Batman show or property when Batman's not in it. But I mean, I guess it would be fine if it was like Nightwing or something.
Right.
But at the same time, it looks interesting. Penguin's never been my favorite villain by any stretch of the imagination. I did enjoy Colin Farrell's interpretation of the character.
I really did.
So I will watch this and I will give it a fair chance. I will say the trailer looks good, but again, it didn't get me hyped.
So I'm hyped because I really did like Colin Farrell in Batman. He was good. It's not the Penguin. It's more of like a mobster. He's a Gotham mobster. I like that we did get to see Gotham City flooded. Um,
Yeah.
just I like that. Very was it Arkham City inspired? I think it looks good. We'll see. I like the seedy underbelly of Gotham. Like you can, I think Gotham City is interesting enough to where you can have a story based on any one of these villains and have it be interesting and without a Batman if it's done right.
No, I agree. I think you can do so. I'm just uh, I didn't enjoy Gotham,
Right.
and I know a lot of people do. And I, again, if you enjoy it, that's cool. I'm not saying don't enjoy it, and I don't want to yuck anybody's yum.
Mm.
But I watched a little bit of it, and I'm just like,
Eh,
can Jim Jordan save Gotham? Well, no, we know he can't because we know that this child Bruce Wayne's in it,
right.
and he's gonna grow up to be Batman.
Right.
So what's the point of me watching this?
Well,
You know what
right.
I
So
mean?
I
Like,
mean, I guess there's a difference between showing like a prequel type thing where you know what's going to happen versus we have the Batman movie that set the tone for this Batman universe. Let's have a series about the Penguin.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
I'm not opposed to it.
Right.
I just to be clear, I'm just not as I'm more excited for Brave and the Bold.
That's fair. That's still a long ways out, but 2024.
That's the long way
Yeah,
out.
2024 is when we're getting Penguin. I'm excited for it. It looks good. Good mob movie, or not movie. A good just mobster Gotham series. I'm sure they'll bring Pattinson in for a thing. He's already making the second movie. This is obviously set within the same universe. I would be. It would be a wasted opportunity if they just didn't have him pop in briefly for a thing, maybe to set up a second movie with Clayface. I feel like Clayface, you sort of need to have some foundational work before you start getting into that type of character for that type of universe because it's
Depends on how they portray Clayface. They could make it more grounded, but
yeah,
yeah. I hope it's a big clay monster though.
eventually, but yeah.
I figured we'd be short on time today. There's so much to get through. Do you want to jump? We'll take a break from reviews, jump into Battle Nerds, and then jump back to Mandalorian.
Yeah, we can do some Battle Nerds. Let's do it.
All right. So Battle Nerds is our weekly show. We created a list of 100 iconic characters. We random roll to see who we get, and then we argue about. Then we have to come up with a convincing argument as to why our character would win. Last week we had Captain America, specifically Endgame with Mjolnir versus Gal Gadot's Captain America.
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman. Sorry. So we had our debate. We put it up online, and Captain America slaughtered Wonder Woman.
Really?
I figured Wonder Woman would take it. That was my prediction. But you guys voted, and you guys said that Captain America with Mjolnir can defeat Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. So we removed Wonder Woman from the list, and Captain America is now a first-time winner. Our champion with 4 wins is still Wolverine, but undefeated every time he comes in, he crushes Mr. Spock.
Mr.
Spock takes on Superman.
Yes.
So this week, I've got Superman. Cap, you've got Spock.
Yes.
Normally, I would say I'm at an advantage, but when it comes to the polls, I don't know, man. Spock usually wins.
So,
thank you for that, Lore Reloaded, by the way, at Lore Reloaded, because you reposted our polls when that happens. And yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen with the polls because I heard Elon saying that he's not going to allow polls. It's still up right now. So we'll post a poll after this.
In his short-term memory, he just forgot it, and he's just
no, he didn't forget. Musk keeps trying to make changes to Twitter, and then he realizes that like I don't have the manpower, or it wasn't designed in the engineering. Like he threatened to take away all legacy check marks,
right?
And he realized I can't because they never built in a way to do that other than removing them one at a time.
Oh.
He did remove the LA Times one, and I subscribed to LA Times just because of that. I was like, "Fuck you." I don't know. I look. I'm not trying to get in an argument with people. If you love Musk, you love Musk. But I find it amusing that he owns Twitter and we have him blocked. I don't know. Just that makes me smile.
So, what version of Superman are you going with today, buddy?
Yeah, good segue there.
As stated, I'm going to go with All Star Superman. It's I think it's a good amalgamation of the character.
Okay.
I assume you're just going for standard Spock, right?
I'm going with the. Actually, I've done this before in his fight against the Hulk. I'm going with Spock Prime.
Okay.
I'm going to go that route. Just older Spock, much more wise, and a little bit access to more advanced technology, if you will. But I do have some strategies on how he could how he could defeat Superman several different ways. But we'll get into it.
I have a question, and this doesn't relate to anything, but it relates to what we just discussed.
Yes.
Batman is a fascist. Lion and Blue Beetle. Thoughts? Real fast.
How? Oh, so I guess maybe.
Did you take it as a pain to you? I just was like, oh, it's a joke, and I didn't register it at all. And then I go on Twitter, and everyone's like, "This is why they don't like respect the crowds." Rabble, rabble, rabble.
Just
I'm like,
I thought
I make fun of Batman all the time. I would be a huge hypocrite if I got mad at them for saying, "Oh, Batman is a fascist."
I mean, it's just a kid talking shit.
I thought it was his dad,
or whatever. It was just.
I thought it was like, I thought they were pulling one of those just old guys. Batman's a fascist.
Yeah, it's just one of those like.
It was a throwaway joke,
right?
Yeah,
yeah, that's it. Just fascist. Good God, I called somebody a communist the other day. It's just they're not really.
All right. So moving on. So Spock Prime versus All Star Superman. Cap, why do you think?
Spock all right. So.
Besides the fact that he crushes the poles.
So aside from that, and would you permit me access to, let's say, like the Enterprise, if you will?
Yeah, of course. You can bring the Enterprise in.
So is it?
I will throw it into the sun.
Right, I know. Is there prep time allowed? Because I feel like if the two of them were to throw down just immediately, yes, Superman's just going to explode Mr. Spock. But I think through if let's say in the Star Trek universe, if there's this insanely powerful extraterrestrial being who has these powers, let's go investigate it. And Spock is leading.
They've definitely met characters as powerful or more. I mean, the Q Continuum is like
it's like they're.
I know that's Next Generation, but still.
But Q still exists. The Borg conceivably have that type of power, just applied differently as Superman.
No, the Borg will be destroyed by Superman. Resistance is futile. Okay.
Not like that. But I'm talking about as far as like what they're capable of doing, as far as like warping reality and just like being able to time travel and shit. So technologically, if they were to put their minds to it, I'm sure they could take out. But anyways, so how I can see this working is. Mr. Spock, what do they do in Star Trek whenever there's a threat? They usually have some type of council. They discuss strategy. How are we going to take out this thing? So, what is the one... Superman has two big weaknesses. Or just one big weakness is kryptonite.
Kryptonite, and he's weak against magic. And he also... Sonic attacks can hurt him.
Right, but... He is also fueled by a yellow sun.
Solar radiation.
Yeah, solar radiation. So...
Well, I guess also white, theoretically.
Right. So, with the Enterprise present, I can see them somehow altering the shields of the Enterprise to lock onto a specific frequency that maybe projects, well, if he's fueled by this type of yellow sunlight, let's use our shields to emit red sunlight so that it depowers him in space, and then we can just launch a photon torpedo at him and blow him up. Or... maybe
you're saying they're going to science this.
They're going to science the situation because they're not like rope-a-dope. This isn't that. I don't see Spock going rope-a-dope with Superman. So he's going to have to rely on his intelligence and strategy and technique to defeat Superman. And I think with
all right, well, allow me my rebuttal. Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. My rebuttal to that is Superman outsciences them.
Okay.
We're talking All-Star Superman. He created a formula which allowed him to give superpowers to Lois. He's got a robot army. He's got a pet sun eater. We're talking a very sci-fi Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is he Superman, but his tech in many ways is beyond theirs. So yeah, I could see him out sci-fiing the sci-fiers. And then I think he obviously wins because he's Superman.
Right.
I mean, I mean, I guess the one argument, you do have kryptonite. Okay, sure.
So
Uh,
I wouldn't even call it. I wouldn't use kryptonite in that sense. So kryptonite, what makes it toxic to Superman is the radiation it emits. So they could use
Yeah.
conceivably they can turn the Enterprise.
Yeah, I get. And
to-
you're saying they could recreate it. I
Right.
understand. I mean, theoretically, they could just be like, replicator, make me some kryptonite.
Right, right.
Like, so
But
yeah,
that,
I get what
that
you're
seems too much
saying.
of jumping the shark. Like they would science the shit out of that and realize, oh well, blah 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 blah. Okay, blah 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 blah. Boop 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 boop. And then, yeah. But go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, my point being is he has technology comparable or if not greater than theirs. I think they have some like their holodeck and even their replicator, sure. But uh the the main argument against Superman is he's Superman and he's gonna pull his punches and he's not gonna try and kill anybody.
Right.
But if we allow for BFR battlefield removals, and he viewed them as a threat,
Mm-hmm.
I could totally see him grabbing them, flying them way far away from this neck of the universe,
Right.
pulling a Voyager,
Mm-hmm.
being like, "Good luck getting back," and then
Send
flying
you to the
back
Delta
home.
Quadrant. Yes.
Yeah, and there's not a lot they can do to stop him. So
But right,
do I think
so while that's happening, it's like okay, well, we're essentially in tow of Superman. All right, raise the shield, switch onto the frequency of this red energy or kryptonite, maybe both. Use the red energy to slow him down, then the kryptonite to just deliver the blow, and then
yeah.
just
Sure. By the time
be
you've done
powerful.
all that, I've already gotten home and I'm banging Lois Lane. I'm sorry, but he's just too powerful. It's just and like
You just really
that's the
wanted
thing.
to beat Spock, didn't you?
No, it was what we rolled. I mean, it's
I
the
know.
luck of the die. But I mean, the thing is, I agree with you. But when you actually think about Superman
Mm-hmm.
and how powerful he is,
It's
I mean,
stupid.
let's look at the Snyder films. That chair blows up and everybody dies around him. Really, he should have been able to go. That chair is blowing up in slow motion in front of me.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and take it away from the guy, set him over here,
Right.
pick it up, take it into space, let it blow up, come back down, maybe go get that guy a new wheelchair, put him back in a wheelchair, and then all of a sudden, wait, what just happened? Why did I get a new wheelchair? You know what I mean? Like when Lex was like, I have your mom. What are you gonna do?
Right.
Fly around the earth a few times using my vision and super senses.
Right.
Oh, there's my mom. Go pick up my mom, bring her back. Hey Lex, is this my mom? Oh, it is. You know, like I mean, he's too powerful.
Right.
And I mean, I had to put him on the list because it's a list of iconic characters.
Right.
But when we really break it down as to what Superman is capable, and this is all-star Superman,
Mm-hmm.
the reason I picked him is not because I wanted to blow you out of the water with power, but just because I think he's a good representation of Superman as a character.
Right.
And this is one of the most powerful versions. He's arm wrestling gods in it, and then he's just like, and then he just slams their arms down, no problem. You know what I mean? Like he's
Right.
it's ridiculous. I do think your idea though of sciencing out a solution is very good though,
Right.
and one I didn't even think about.
Right. So it is within the capabilities of the Enterprise, which is why something like this. I mean, if you were to just plop them down and within an immediate fist fight, maybe Spock will try to do the Vulcan neck grip and be like, "Huh, fascinating or interesting," because nothing's happening.
Yeah, because he is stronger than regular people and all that.
Right.
But yeah, he's not gonna.
Right. Like he's
Back
going to do
to
that to
suit.
Superman, and nothing's going to happen, and it's going to be, huh? That's highly
Yeah,
illogical.
did you ever watch the old school Superman TV show, like the black and white and all that?
Some episodes, yes, but back then he was just capable of jumping over us.
He could fly. He
skyscrapers.
could fly.
It could. Oh
But
yeah,
he
okay.
was my point was there was an episode where a wrestler or was taking on another wrestler and he worked out some kind of Vulcan neck pinch
Mhm.
and he tried to do it on Superman and it didn't work, but then Superman ended up training the wrestler on how to get away with it,
Mm-hmm.
and then he was able to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's not really relevant to the discussion other than someone did once try and fucking
Right.
pinch a Superman,
And
and it did nothing. So
well,
yeah.
of course, because it's Superman. So
Yeah, true. Yeah,
so that is my argument, but it is
it
not,
worked on Wolverine.
Yeah.
There was a crossover.
Yeah, right, but that's not Superman.
I know.
The end.
All right. Well, it's not up to us. You guys get to vote as to who you think wins. We'll put up something on Twitter
Right.
afterward. Hopefully, the polls will still be working. I predict Spock again, but we'll see. I mean, Superman, as someone said before, you can't beat Superman. They compared him to John Cena, and because John Cena is essentially Superman in the wrestling world.
Oh.
Let's roll.
All right.
Sorry, loud for getting my dice out. So we're gonna go ahead and roll to see which characters we get in our next battle.
Got a 49.
Okay.
I feel like that's been rolled recently.
Opening up the sheet. I think that might be too high though. I think we're down to 47.
Okay.
Yeah, 44. We have to roll 44 less.
Goddamn, I rolled a 45.
What'd you get?
Hold on. I rolled a 49, a 45, and a 53.
Yeah, that happens. It's gonna happen a lot.
Well, that's a
especially
9.
as we're getting-
Hold on.
You got a 9?
No. I rolled like a 93. Hold on. 69.
Okay.
Aha! 22.
22. Okay, so this is returning right after his last fight. You just had him. Should we re-roll just so we don't do it? You are Captain America again.
Yeah, let's re-roll it.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. Just let that one breathe.
I'm gonna keep mine though.
All right. No.
We don't like to bend the rules too much, but since he just fought, it kind of makes sense.
20.
20. Oh, okay. This one's actually pretty good.
Okay.
It is He-Man.
Okay.
You got my favorite, someone I've been dying to get, but
Okay.
whatever. Versus returning champ after he defeated Robin Hood, Naruto.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good one because if you
Okay.
pick the right a lot of anime nerds are going to say it's Naruto, and I think he'll win the poll.
Right.
But if you actually think about the battle, like, I mean, if you went with like Injustice He-Man, for
Right.
example, yeah, all of a sudden you can throw down with soup. So you know, like, Naruto's not looking so good.
Am I allowed a battle cat?
I mean, if you want, I mean, I don't know if you need it. I mean,
I don't know.
against it depends on which version, dude. I mean, you could if you go with the 1980 cartoon He-Man,
It's probably going to be Injustice He-Man because
that was the one I used to
I-
defeat. What's his name?
I've
Who did I fight? Oh, it was Battle Cat. I used Injustice Battle Cat to take on Kratos.
Oh,
and I
that's
won.
right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I forgot about that fight. But anyways, I just heard a squeal come from my daughter's door. It's weird. But
She likes Naruto.
I guess. I have learned to not underestimate the anime characters, so I'm definitely going to go with the Injustice version of He-Man. Oh, there's another squeal.
They are very, very powerful.
Hi. Squealing noises.
I've got
Oh,
cat
okay.
noises going on behind me.
Anyways, we have about 15 or so minutes. We're
Oh
gonna fill
god,
it
we're
with
running
ma-
still there. Yeah, let's talk Mando and we'll quickly try and do Behold Nerds. So Mando's episode 6 and 7. Well, make sure you tune in, by the way. He-Man versus Naruto.
Yep.
Or Naruto, or however you want to say it. I always think it's Naruto, but I could be wrong.
Wait, hold on. Pause.
But anyway,
hold
so
on,
Mandalorian.
Pause. Grendel is going to be heading out right now. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Thank you again for leaving the comments.
Yes.
And,
Enjoy,
I look forward to more of our gentleman's discourse over Twitter.
enjoy your nap.
Yes.
Anyways,
Um,
Mandalorian, let's knock these episodes out. They're so good.
chapters 22, Gun for Hire, and chapter 23, The Spies. Brief synopsis. Chapter 22, they go and rescue Din Djarin and Bo-Katan. They go and rescue a planet with its droid problem. Originally, they were just there to unite the tribes of the Mandalorians, but then they little fun side adventure, I thought anyway. And then chapter 23, they it was very important to the story. We find out that spoilers, by the way, Moff Gideon is back. And basically they go Bo-Katan goes to find whether or not the planet is livable. So they do like an expedition. Turns out there's essentially an Empire base there, and Moff Gideon is trying to merge different groups like the Jedi, the Mandalorians. Was it droids as well?
Yeah,
I remember the third group you listed.
Something.
But yeah, so he's trying to take the best things from different peoples and combine them into one perfect thing, and we get this awesome moment where he shows up in his Mandalorian Darth Vader armor. But yeah, so what are your thoughts on these episodes?
So there was the episode that pissed everybody off with Jack Black and the other human. It was a fun episode. I didn't have any issues with it. The most recent episode, good grief, we saw the thing that everybody's going to want for Christmas, which is Grogu inside the IG-12.
Yeah, so in my mind, I was just like, because I heard that there was a rumor that his Mandalorian armor was going to be IG-88 armor or IG-12 armor, whatever. And it was going to be put into his armor, but then the idea that it's a suit that he drives, and then maybe he'll wear Mandalorian armor over it, and then eventually have lightsabers because he's also a Jedi, and he can use the. Oh God! I was like, potential here is so cool.
So
I did also enjoy a little bit of comedy with yes. This isn't working for me.
That was all the fans at that moment collectively. Yes. And then it cuts and they're walking down the street. Yes. Yes. It is. I like that idea. It sort of reminds me of my goodness, what was the version of Spider-Man, the anime version where it's the girl inside the mech suit.
Yeah.
It sort of has that vibe to it. Like it could eventually evolve into something like that. But Star Wars with an IG droid, I'll take it. I'll take that.
I'm just looking. I immediately thought potential and where it could go. And what I would do with it. And I just see Grogu driving the IG-88 thing. We already saw how badass that is. And then combine that with Beskar armor and give it the Darksaber. And then he's like freaking force pushing and shit. And like, I'm just like, this could be really cool.
And it would be just oh my God. I want more.
Yeah, as do I. It was really, really excellent.
So we did get that moment in the recent episode, The Spies, where it's alluded to that the Smith the Forge Mandalorian might be working for Moff Gideon, maybe.
You think so? I didn't pick up on that. I do think there's something vaguely nefarious about her, but I don't know about that. I do have a theory that Grogu's gonna get shot, and then that little
that thing is going to save him. Yeah,
going to save him. I do think that that's going to happen, but I mean, for me, the moment of the episode was what's his name? Well, I love the Blade Runner beginning where it was clearly an homage to Blade Runner with her on the planet and the neon and stuff. And raining. It was total Blade Runner. And then, but what's his name?
The big guy
has Vizsla. When he was fighting everybody in his total badass moment. And then the Praetor guards come out and he's like and with a Viper dagger. And they just end him real fast. But it was a Viking moment, you know what I mean? Like if the Jedi are monks, the Mandalorians are Vikings. And I loved it. I was so hyped when I watched it. I was into every moment.
Mhm.
I went on Twitter afterwards, and I saw a lot of people like I'm mounting a party. Let's go rescue Jinjarin and stuff. And yeah, it's Star Wars at its finest, 100%.
It really is. Good grief, and all the jetpack troopers came in, and he's just gunning them all down.
Yeah, yeah. And then it was cool seeing the Mandalorians fighting against them,
Mhm.
and then Bo-Katan like slicing the door open.
Right,
It just way, you know what I mean?
right.
And then now we know that we got that ship up in space, and they'll like send the TIE fighters and the TIE bombers after them, and
Mhm.
so we're gonna get an awesome. Like I can't wait for the. I am just so bummed it's the last one. You
So
know?
I did like when we saw the when the Mandalorian fleet is flying to Navarro, and all of a sudden there's this big ship in the sky. It's blocking out the sun, and the guy's like, "Oh, well, that's actually a light freighter. Like that's actually not one of the big ones. It's a light cruiser,
Yeah.
but it's still just so big." And you see the fleet land. It's just, I love Star Wars. I want to love Star Wars. This show makes me love Star Wars. Um,
It makes me love Star Wars as well. I think it's the finest Star Wars we've had since
right.
the original trilogy.
So going back to the previous episode with Jack Black, I didn't, and Christopher Lloyd is the bad guy. I thought it was a fine episode. I know that it allegedly rabbled some people, but I think it was interesting. It was almost like a buddy cop type thing.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as like it was like a story within the story.
Right.
The thing that upset people is people are getting mad that they're like, oh, what does Din Djarin have left? He gave away the dark saber. This is all about Bo-Katan.
No,
Yada
you
yada yada.
fools.
The way I see it is like what's changed for him is he's a father now, and that
Right.
changes everything.
Right. That's why he's
And
not flying around doing bounty hunter. Right.
Well, yeah, he's trying to create a world where he can raise his son,
Right.
and Bo-Katan is a way to do that. You know.
Right. That's it. So why people are getting rabbled about that? Shut up. Just it's we only.
I mean, no, I don't want to tell you if that's what you think.
Just don't.
Fine,
Just we only.
but
Get, we only get one.
it's.
Episode.
I don't get it. I just don't get it, and I completely disagree.
Right. Just the future is Grogu. Grogu's going to be the Yoda, and eventually they're going to retell Star Wars, but flip it to where it's the Mandalorian. The one thing that the show is doing well, and I like these moments where it doesn't focus on Din Djarin or Bo-Katan, is that we're seeing that in the age of the New Republic, or in the New Republic now, that they're not without their issues. That they're
Well, yeah. Again, I think the main problem is they were the freedom fighters, and now all of a sudden they're in charge,
right.
and
Now
they're
what?
like, "How do we do this?"
Right.
And they're not. They don't have the manpower to do it.
Right. Hell is paved on
Um,
good intentions.
Yeah,
That's-
but I mean, it's why you can see it in the background. There's like an old grandma lady,
right.
and it's because we need bodies. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
it.
Right.
But yeah, it's this has been great. I've enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Let's jump into well, just shut up and take my money,
Right.
of course, right?
Yes.
So now let's jump into our Behold Nerds. So a couple weeks ago, Gary, creator of Stargazer, was on our show. He suggested Taxi, so we take on. I think what's happened here, though, is he meant the French movie Taxi. It came out in 1998 and actually spawned a series. When I Googled it, I got Taxi with Queen Latifah. I started watching it, and I was like, man, this movie's bad. Afterwards, I found out there was another Taxi movie. I couldn't sit through this movie without making Cap not also sit through it. So we watched Taxi. What was your thoughts?
I hate all of you.
I
So
don't think it's the worst movie we've watched.
So it's like, hey kids, what would the Fast and the Furious be like with Jimmy Fallon and Queen Latifah? And it's, oh my god,
Latifah's character in this wasn't as bad as Jimmy
Jimmy
Fallon's character.
Fallon made me want to eat my own face. I don't
Yeah,
think he's
his
funny.
character, every time you saw him, he was annoying.
He just
My two biggest problems with this movie are Jimmy Fallon. Well, three biggest problems. The plot doesn't really make sense at all. Like And then Queen Latifah's car, the transformation stuff was so bad.
It's so like so this movie came out right on the a couple years after like Men in Black, where you had that really cool like car transformation thing, and
Yeah.
I remember with Inspector Gadget where he pressed the button and the thing would kind of collapse and do this and scrunch it and be like a whole new thing, and somehow everybody inside was okay. So it sort of reminded me of that, and it had the cliche like with this little like control panel, and
Yeah.
it's like, roads, where are we going? We don't need roads, and hit some buttons and this whole like transformation thing, and it's like it's turning into Mega Maid from fucking Spaceballs. This fucking thing,
Yeah, but that was done as a parody. But
and how like the rims kind of go in and then they come back out. I was like, where's all this
there
shit
was
going?
stuff that was like, why is it changing out the rims? Like, what is that going
What
to do?
it does nothing. Oh, it just. And then what about like the paneling on the side? Just nothing makes sense. Nothing makes
Yeah, the movie
sense.
would have
in
made
this
more sense if she drove a cab, but it was a sleeper. You know what I
Right.
mean? Where it just looks like a normal cab, but
Right.
she had put in a lot of work.
Right.
But I think they were trying to appeal to like a different audience.
Uh,
Like I would have been more forgiving of this had I watched it in 2004.
it definitely hasn't aged. It sort of reeks of its era a little bit, and Jimmy
Yeah,
Fallon's there.
but that stuff aside, where I can't forgive it is Jimmy Fallon. This was the worst thing ever. I don't think it's the worst Behold Nerds. We watched the Munsters, and I think that was worse. This was, but okay. Here's also what drove me crazy, because you're watching a movie like this, you're like, okay, Jimmy Fallon sucks. The transformation sucks. At least it'll have some cool car chases, but all the stunts and car chase stuff was garbage, because you would see something that was approaching cool,
right,
and then it would cut to them just being inside doing this
like
with a
really
green screen.
bad green screen, right?
Yeah, and then
really bad green screen,
yeah, it's kind of like watching a kung fu movie that's full of cuts,
right?
And so it's just, you can't appreciate the action because it's just like, and then it cuts to something over here.
Right.
There's no, you can't see like, if I could see an actual stunt driver doing some crazy shit,
so
then I'm like, okay, at least there's that. But there wasn't even that.
Okay, here's where this movie lost me. All right, so this movie starts off with a really, let's just call it radical BMX thing, where we're focusing on like one of those inner city just bicycle delivery people.
Yeah,
and they're doing all these moves. They're going down into the subway, and everything is like super cool.
I actually thought that part was kind of cool.
It's super cool. You see them flying up and like banking off of a truck and then landing and going. And I'm watching this like, okay, this is pretty tubular. It would be the right word. Very Cowabunga-esque. And then the person squeals into this garage with other bikers. The person takes off the helmet, and it's Queen fucking Latifah. Get out of here. No, I reject that. Queen Latifah cannot do that. No. My brain just turned off.
I don't know. I mean, I'll give it a pass.
Like, they didn't even get a proper body-shaped double to play the person on the bike. That was clearly like some...
I'll give it a pass. That didn't bother me.
Because Frosty's damn it, the moment it cuts to actually it being Queen Latifah on the bike, it's all of a sudden she's like an extra 50 pounds. And I'm not saying anything weight shaming or anything. It's just clearly two completely...
I thought she was in pretty good shape.
Obviously two very completely different body types portraying...
Body types, yeah.
Like,
I don't know. Again, no.
Sucked me right out of it. I was thinking maybe like, hey, Tobey Maguire is going to pop up me like, hey, guys...
Nah, man, I'm okay with that. I didn't have, my issues were stuff with the cops and the FBI and the way they're like, oh, we gotta impound your car.
No,
and then they just steal it.
Take me instead.
This movie had one scene though that I legit thought was hilarious. It's got one scene in it that I was like, wow, that is really funny.
Okay.
And that's the part where Jimmy Fallon comes out and he's like, freeze, this is police, they need to steal your car. And the car turns and then
everything explodes.
And more cars keep flying on.
Right.
That I thought was great. I legit think that's the one little
little spark in this movie.
That
Um,
is the one standout moment. Unfortunately, it happens within the first like 15 minutes of the movie, so you have another hour and a half following that, like an
yeah,
hour
but
15. That,
by far the worst part of this movie is Jimmy Fallon.
oh my god,
His character, it's just anytime he opens his mouth, I get so apparently the original was similar as a bumbling cop and a taxi driver,
mm,
and it's like a high octane action comedy. I haven't seen the original. Okay, I mean we're getting into it. It's my turn to pick.
mm,
I don't want to pick it because I need a palate cleanser,
okay,
but it's on my list of movies now.
okay,
I would like now that I've sat through this to see the original,
okay, okay.
So, I mean, are you interested in
That's
seeing the
fine.
movie that doesn't suck?
That's fine because for my next pick, I'm debating as to whether I should really hurt us or I should just let this be an anomaly and a mistake in communication and we just move on. I'm of two
Well,
minds right now.
my palate cleanser. I'll give my pick in a minute,
Mm.
but so let's get to ratings. Cap, just shut up and take my money.
I'm going to take a fat shit once we go off air, and I'm going to dedicate that turd to this movie.
All right, so clearly this is a death by snoo all the way across.
This isn't deserving of our titles. This is just this is a Hollywood excrement in a time where movies like
Is this your most hated Baldwin? Because mine is by far the Munsters.
Oh my god! No, the Munsters. Okay, there was a charm to the Munsters and
I disagree.
there was a style to the Munsters. There were certain things I could watch about it as bad as it was.
That one was more painful. This one had three things going for it that allowed me to get by.
Okay.
The cars looked kind of cool when after post transformation.
Okay.
There was a couple of stunts that were kind of cool.
Yeah.
The joke with the freeze and the
right,
and then call me sexist if you want, but
that scene, yes,
I thought the models were cool.
Yes.
They were obviously beautiful women, but I liked their characterization. I thought I will say though, this is an example of where I think you can put sexy in movies and it's fine. Like I don't have an issue with it.
Mm.
If you were to make a hyper sex like Bayonetta, and that's a video game,
right.
But Bayonetta is hypersexualized.
Mm-hmm.
I have no issue. This is an example of bad sexualization. But it doesn't serve anything.
Right. It's just
that said,
it's gratuitous.
I liked their characters, like when they were in the banks and you know what I mean. And I kind of thought they were cool, and I like the fact that everybody thought they were dudes, and then it turned out they were these models.
Right.
So I think there's a couple of things. Munsters was probably worse. I give it a death by snoo though. God, it was painful to get through. I was texting you the whole time. I was sending send help.
I had to take a break from I had to take a break from the Munsters also. So that's if you want to know my engagement in movies, if I can't watch it in one setting, that's when I start having issues. I can sit through the holiday special with zero issue and love it. I could not.
I think that's a so bad that you enjoy it thing.
Right.
This is it's bad.
Oh God,
there's nothing enjoyable about this movie.
Don't
other
like
than
Jimmy Fallon.
Those few bits of light, but Fallon was.
Oh my
God!
What was that? So one of the things that I thought was funny because every time they cut to these interior shots with them in the car, it's clearly they're clearly on a set, and, but they're also talking to the other people in other cars, like outside. And they're just like, "Hey, I'm going to count 2, 3, and you're going to let her go." It's like, no, you're driving on the freeway going like 80. Like you should be shouting.
Yeah, I guess though. I mean, in fairness, some of those shots though, where they had clearly a stunt person, but hanging between cars and stuff. I guess I kind of appreciate that stuff. So
somewhere in Hollywood, there is a stunt human whose resume includes being a stunt double for Jimmy Fallon. Good for you. You have accomplished more. I will crack open a Bud Light to you, stunt human of Jimmy Fallon. Yes, and Queen Latifah, all of them. All y'all get stunt doubles. Good grief.
My favorite part of this movie, if I had to pick a part, is it's kind of like going to the dentist. It's horrible, but then it's over, and you went, "Oh, of course they have the
outtake.
bloopers." For me, as soon as the credits rolled,
Mm-hmm.
I had that just wave of relief just wash over
So,
me that it's over. That it's almost pleasurable.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So,
Like,
I
I didn't watch the bloopers though.
okay, so
Or the-
neither did I. So this is one of those movies where like, oh god, she's a NASCAR driver now, and the dude proposes to her, and everybody's happy, and somehow Jimmy Fallon is like a Russian like mafia guy or
He
something.
was on Stakeout. I didn't really follow that.
I
I noticed.
That was weird. It's like
Yeah.
for when I saw him from a distance, like when did Ben Stiller enter this movie? Because for a
I
second,
think they were on Stakeout. I think that's why they were both dressed up.
okay,
and stuff.
for a second I thought it was Ben Stiller. And it's like, why is Ben
I
Stiller
might have
dressed
missed.
like?
I kept checking out of the movie. You know what I mean? I'm sure you did too.
Oh yeah, so here's the thing about these types of when the cast isn't funny enough to make a funny movie. I feel like the studio needs to cram in as much opportunities to keep people laughing at the movie. Enter the credit
Yeah.
bloopers, where oh well they were so unfunny in the movie. Let's show the outtakes of them fucking up making the movie. Master of Disguise did this, where you sat through this awful movie and you think it's over with, and it keeps cutting to shit and bloopers. And it's like, no, stop! It wasn't funny in the movie. Stop trying to make the movie funny. Stop it.
It does work sometimes if you really enjoy a movie and it looked like a fun movie to make and the people involved are having fun. The bloopers can be a lot of fun.
Right. So, like watching the bloopers on like is like a Blu-ray extra. Okay, that's fine. Those are funny, but to have it just act to buttress that to further the comedy of a bad movie. Like, oh, well, it's just throwing everything to see what sticks. Oh, let's throw in the
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I remember I loved the 40-Year-Old Virgin, for example. I think that's a hilarious movie, and I think there was bloopers at the end of that. I could be imagining it,
Was there?
but I really enjoyed the bloopers because my thought was, wow, that looked like a really fun movie to make.
Yeah,
So I was interested in seeing the actors having fun making the movie. You know,
you're right. I get it. Just I've noticed that movies that have the credit bloopers tend to not be.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right.
Funny.
I think I'm probably thinking the exception, not the rule. But yeah.
Right. But so the moment I felt that wave of relief where it's like, oh god, the movie's over with, and then the credits do that thing where it goes whoop, and then
Yeah.
you see the whoop right there. My brain just said no, and I went on my phone and I texted him. It's like no. And then what did I do?
Yeah, I turned it off immediately.
I took a fat shit. Like that was my
Yeah.
body's visceral reaction having sat through that movie.
The cool thing is it's on HBO Max, so I didn't have to pay any extra for it. I think the first one is too. Anywho, speaking of what's on HBO Max, it's my pick.
Okay.
So like I said, I need a palate cleanser. So I decided we're gonna revisit one of my all-time favorite movies. If The Crow is my all-time favorite, this one is like right here.
Okay.
So we're gonna be taking a look at Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, okay.
So this is, like I said, one of my all-time favorite movies. It
It's
is very close to The Crow. It's got a very similar thing. It's a tragic love story. It's very dark. But this one, whereas The Crow was very much, it had a couple of jokes, but it's not a comedy.
right.
This has a lot of comedy in it. But it's also got a lot of sorrow, and I just think it's a beautiful movie. I can't wait to watch it again. I've seen it 100 times. I'll watch it 100 times more. So join us for The Crow. We'll be watching The Crow. It's like I said, one of my
Edward
all-time
Scissorhands.
favorite
Edward
movies.
Scissorhands.
I mean, Edward Scissorhands. Sorry, you can see what I did. For Edward Scissorhands, I love Edward Scissorhands. Can't wait to revisit it. It is the movie that made me fall in love with Burton as a director. I know not all his movies have been, knocks out of the park, but this one was, in my opinion.
Okay. I haven't watched this movie in a while, so looking forward to revisiting it. True story. In Anaheim, near my daughter's old school, in that neighborhood, there was somebody who actually had one of the big prop bushes from the movie. It was a big bear. It's not there anymore. I guess the people moved, or for whatever reason had to take it down. But for a while, it was sort of like a staple of that neighborhood, where there's just this big fucking bear in their front lawn, and it was from the movie. So,
Man,
obviously fake, but
the part where she's like, like, I know he's still up there because
It
it
snows.
didn't snow until he came down, and then like, and it's just like, my heart, I can't take it. Anyway, so hopefully you guys like that. I'm really looking forward to it. I noticed nobody had any opinions about this movie, so I'm not sure many of our followers decided to join us in
so
watching it.
I always forget that the was it the what's his face, Taxi Driver, the one that Taxi Driver. I always forget it's called Taxi Driver, not just Taxi. It's Taxi Driver. But anyways,
Well, anyway, we'll probably revisit. I think my next pick after this is going to be Taxi, but the first one,
okay.
just because I'm curious now. If this one's this bad,
Right?
What
was the source material? Right.
Yeah. Like, how bad did they shit the bed?
Jimmy Fallon.
Although I don't like bumbling characters, so I'm not sure. I don't know.
Like Jimmy,
it's hard to pull
Fallon.
off. As soon as you make a bumbling kind of idiot character, I'm gonna be like, eh.
It's like the Jar Jar Binks. It's just,
yeah.
It's
Anywho,
we should probably wrap
we should probably wrap up. Yeah, I was gonna say.
So thanks for watching. We had a lot of viewers today, and thanks to Grendel13 for talking with us on the Chat Nerds, and we encourage everybody who didn't chat with us at some point. We love hearing from you guys.
Leave us a message, Facebook, Twitter, comment on it. Looks like this video has already been liked. We appreciate that.
Yes.
Thank you for whoever gave it a thumbs up.
We do like to
make sure you give it a thumbs up. I know it, like, seriously, guys, I know it's just a little click, but it really does make our day.
Yes. It warms our britches. We do like to end the show with a nerdy quote by Mr. Frosty. Mr. Frosty, what do you have today?
That man won't quit as long as he can still draw breath. None of my teammates will. Me, I've got a different problem. I feel like I live in a world of cardboard, always taking constant care not to break something, to break someone, never allowing myself to lose control, even for a moment, or someone could die. But you can take it, can't you, big man? What we have here is a rare opportunity for me to cut loose and show you just how powerful I really am.
I know that quote. Good night, everybody.